saw this video of a fiddler from my hometown. It was on Folkways with David Holt, and he did a little segment on Red Wilson, and Red Wilson was from my area, and he actually played for my parents' wedding. And, and I remember watching him, he didn't really necessarily do anything really fancy, but I really loved his playing. And I was like, man, he played this one slow song down in Little Garden, and I said, man, if I could just play that and nothing else, just that, like even horribly, something's really happen. So I went and I decided I'd go get my brother's fiddle out of the closet. And I took it out, and it was, he hadn't played it in years, and the strings were all, kind of messed up. So I tried to tune one, and it was like, pop! And I was like, ah! So I just, put it, back in the case, under the bed, and so I didn't want to have anything to do with that, just to break strings. So I needed another fiddle. I was great now to use this from already even letting one know that I broke the string. So I actually went and I was a scenic design major, and I worked in plays backstage, done a lot of carpentry kind of stuff, and artists, and made a lot of things. So I could make a fiddle. I didn't really have the money to buy one, and so I decided I'm going to make one. There's only one guy around that made fiddles, and so I went and stayed with him, and he sort of taught me to make my first one, and it was eventually, the more I started going with them to learn and help me learn how to play or make the fiddle, I realized we started to kind of get to where we were doing more playing, eventually than talking about making instruments. And that's kind of how I guess got started.
And who listened?
Ray Dillinger. But this is a kind of weird tuning here. Those are different names. I think I've heard it called Dead Man's Tuning. Or D-Dad or Triple D. There's more D's than just never too many D's. So D, A, D, D. That gives you this great drony sound. Some would say it sounds kind of like a bagpipe, but you might recognize this tune, and it comes from a great fiddler named Bill Stepp. This might make you think of Copeland. It might make you think of Boston Market. Hopefully not. It was their theme song.
Sit around the house at home. Dad made Dulcimers. Early '60s. Dad started making Dulcimers. The whole Earth catalog. You got his name correct, and we started getting these letters from all over the world. Because I guess they thought he was making like hundreds and hundreds of orders, but he just didn't stop making CDs in there. So he had stacks of letters from people all over Dulcimer. dad was, my dad was NT Ward and his dad was Tab Ward. And Grandpa Tab, he played old time Fretwork banjos and made Dulcimers. And I reckon he started playing when he was 12 years old. And used to play. They'd have little get-togethers in the old schools, Romania school back on Beach Mountain. They had little get-togethers and parties and stuff, and he played there when he was like 12. And then he had a bunch of songs that these people taught him. There's songs that's passed down to the family, and of course the stories that you tell me Jack tells when I go over and tell me all these stories. Dad got to making fiddles for a while. Made fiddles out of just all kinds of different woods. Make them out of walnut and cedar and all these really cool woods. We got one made out of apple wood, probably my favorite.
And what, did you make something from Olive Wood, from the Holy One?
That's a banjo, yeah.
That was a band.
Yeah, we got some wood back from the Holy One. And let's see, I made my first banjo when I was 12. And it sold for $25. I think Dad made his version when he was 14. He sold it for $4. Inflation. But yeah, so when I was a kid, I was always in the shop, with Grandpa and Dad once they make these instruments. I still make the Fretwork banjos from all of Grandpa's old patterns. One of the neck patterns that I have is a piece of came from the barn roof we cut out, and I still use that one today. But anyway, the style that Grandpa played was called the double knot style. Double knot, that's all I do. Walked down last night.
So maybe we can go to William and let you do a song now, William, and then come back to Rick for a song, and then we'll go on to Alice and Jessica.
Okay. Um, well, unaccompanied song. It's one of my favorites. There's a lot of songs, often it's all about context, and the old songs reflect what was going around people, their values and fears, the things that they saw in the world that inhabited, and there's a lot of songs about racehorses, a lot of great play a bunch of good tunes about racehorses that, if you ever listen to bluegrass, there's that great Molly and Ten Brooks tune.
Which is also much older.
Oh, yes, definitely.
The 4 Mile Race.
Right. Many horses, people love their horses. This is some of my
Especially
favorites.
before they had all the
I learned this from Fred Park. One was a racehorse. One was 1, 2. One won the race and one, 2. That's it.
How about a fiddle song?
A
That
fiddle
might
song.
be short. You got a fiddle song?
Yeah, probably. See if I can get it in my brain. You know the name of that one, right?
No, what is it?
This one? You know the name of this tune?
I'm not sure.
Tuning. It's a great Asian classic. One day downside, tears in my eyes, trying to read a letter from my home. And it's in a different tuning, a great fiddler by the name of is it W.B. Grayson? W.B. Grayson? Just over in, what's that? GB. I knew it was 2 letters. I didn't know it was a something beat. He recorded that, and a lot of people attributed it to him, but as far as saying about it. But he often played it in G, and I used to play it in G too. And then I was going and interviewing this 90-year-old guitarist named Wayne Ledford, who lives still living, just over in Glen Eyre, North Carolina. And he said, Crane 45, you know what that's? And I said, oh yeah. I started tuning my fiddle, and he's like, you got the tuning track. And I was like, yeah, like this. And he's like, no, it ain't it. And he's like, you gotta get that. He's like, he's humming to me, you know. And I figured out then that he was tuning it. That his brother Steve, who was a great fiddler, who also played it in GDGD, but he was talking about his brother playing it in this tuning, which is the same tuning that the great Fiddlin' John Carson, he did 900 miles in that tuning. So it was maybe where Steve learned it, because they sort of idolized him. Anyway.
And that old tune is the same one of 2 tunes that Thomas Jefferson described the banjo being tuned in.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Rick, let's have a song from you, and then we'll let you guys rest. Put the ladies to work.
This is a story about a woman who's living in her house, and her husband had died, and he turned back to see her as a ghost. The moon shines bright, and the star is light, and the spare mist she worries alone. There's something in the way that causes him to stay, and the spare mist she worries alone, alone, and the spare mist she worries alone. Her true love come at last, and he come very fast, come tripling through the plain. This fair miss she rose, and she drew on her clothes, for to let her old true love your in, for to let her old true love your in. My pretty little chicken, my pretty crowing chicken, oh, don't you crow before day. I'll make your wings of the yaller beating cold, and your comb of silver so gay, 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 and your comb of silver so gay. This chicken fruit falls hard into her, and crowed on an hour too soon. She sent her love away when she thought it was day, and he traveled by the light of the moon, 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 and he traveled by the light of the moon. She saddled it up her milk-white horse, and also her dappled gray. She rode into the dark wilderness at the length of a long summer's day, 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 at the length of a long summer's day. My old true love, my sweet turtle dove, oh, when shall I see you again? When the moon and shall shed no more rain, rain, rain. And the sky it shall shed no more rain.
My favorite line of King Ballard and chicken fruit Paul's Party.
Does that mean shade?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I never knew, I always thought that it was sort of neat or ignorant or something to have a crowing chicken. Because the chickens don't post roosters anymore.
Well, they're both called chickens.
But,
It's the hen and the rooster.
well, what I found out that, what I found out was that, the chickens, if there aren't any roosters and the chickens are stressed out, one of the hens will take on characteristics and it actually,
Really?
yeah.
True, it's
Yeah.
really bad luck.
It is.
It's supposed to be really bad.
Really?
Yeah.
One of the hens will like become a rooster personality.
Oh,
and-
I used to have a hen. It was sort of like, it was kind of abandoned by its mother. I think I ended up having to I remember sort of kick it out of the nest and she wouldn't take it, so I put it under my shirt and I sort of raised it up by hand. Anytime you raise a chicken by hand, it's going to be crazy. It doesn't know. It's like,
Anytime you raise a chicken.
well, I don't know. They just don't know they're chickens or something. And, well, it's funny, she tried to crow. I don't know if you've ever heard of a young rooster learning to crow. They're not like, they're like, they sounds terrible. Yeah, it's awful. So there's a learning phase. Well, so this chicken was doing that. She tried to crow, and it was a girl that tried to like, and one morning, kid not, she laid an egg, and she never crowed again. It's like, oh, yeah. Wow, I get it. Yeah. It's funny. And she came to that end, though. In the rhyme, I mean, is it a whistling woman and a crowing hen will always come to some bad end, I think is the old saying. And we've had two hens that crowed, and they both just fell over dead one day. Just saying. I think whistling's okay. Ladies, I think you can whistle, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Nothing like those.
You don't have to move, or can move, whatever, okay. All right. Well, should we just do a thing, I want you to tell us something about a later phase of the deepening your connection to old time music. Skipping the first phase. They told the first phase twice, so we're skipping that and moving on.
I could tell a little story. Okay, go right. I fell in love with this music when I was a kid, and I didn't really have any other friends that did. And the best I taught them then, so it was awesome. So anyway, I kind of went on just like in my own little world, and found a few people, and I was in grade school when it started, and then I was in high school, and then I left, and I got out in the world, and I realized I met these people who knew, they played rock and roll, they knew how to read music, they were real musicians, and I felt like such a cracker, I was embarrassed that of that music, so I kind of, and I wasn't, because I didn't know anybody else that was playing it, I kind of lost it. And I started trying to learn to play classical music and play in bands and, did all these other things. And I tried all different kinds of music for years. I played Bulgarian music and Swedish music and Irish music and all this stuff. And I finally, I knew I was kind of searching, and some friends of mine told me to go to Port Townsend, Washington, which is a big fiddle convention. So I went up there, and it was really great, everyone was playing, but it still wasn't really the music that had moved me, but it was fun instead of being in the practice room. And there was this guy sitting in a field, playing really scratchy, out of tune, scratchy, but it was like, oh my God, that's, every time I told her, I get chills. That's it. That is it. So I went over to him, I was like, what, who are you? What is it? And he goes, listen. He's from New Jersey. Listen, everyone around here thinks I sound like shit. If you like the way I play, you need to go to the East Coast. So that's where I learned to play. He was playing a Tommy Gerald tune. He was playing a whole bunch of keys. And it was true. Nobody liked the way he sounded. And I was just like, oh my God. So I went to the East Coast. I thought I would come out and just, go to the summer of festivals and then go back home. And I remember going to Brandywine. That's the first place that people from the West Coast, it was the first festival they landed at. I remember going down there and hearing this hum of the music, and it was like, I am never going back to the West Coast. It sounded so great. It's not like that anymore. I mean, there's great music on the West Coast. But at that time, this would have been like in the early 80s, the music here had that sense of like really being connected to the older generations, and the music on the West Coast just didn't have it. Not the old time music. You might have found it in I don't know, in the cities and Italian music or whatever, but the old time music, I mean, and you could find some people that did find it, but in general, it was just too far from the source. That's my story.
So where did you, were you already playing the fiddle then?
Yeah.
And who was your most significant Southern influence?
At that time?
Well, somewhere around the early.
Well, that would have been okay, I was gonna say Tommy Gerald, but actually, I didn't meet Tommy until later. I met Melvin Lang in Fort Johnson, and I'd have to say Melvin was at that point. He's a West Virginia player, also very rhythmic.
What year was that? I don't know when you know this thing.
It would have been like